help me reach 1,000 subscribers. If this video resonates with you, please support it with a like and share your thoughts below. I read every single comment. Thank you. I have always believed that trust grows from the smallest habits. Gentle routines, unspoken assurances, the steady comfort of choosing one another day after day. My wife Mara once believed that too. In the early days of our marriage, she messaged me constantly updates about her meetings, traffic delays, even photos of her meals, because she said it made her feel close to me, even when we were apart. Somewhere along the way, that version of her began to disappear. It didn't happen all at once. First, the messages became less frequent. Then the replies grew brief. Eventually, she developed the habit of stepping into the hallway to take calls, lowering her voice, instead of speaking openly in the living room like she used to. Whenever I asked if something was wrong, she gave me a weary smile, the kind that made it seem like my concern was an inconvenience. "I'm okay, Aiden. It's just work," she would say. Her new position had come with a different culture: late hours, after work gatherings, what her company liked to call team bonding. And there was one person in particular who always seemed to be close to her: Celine, her so-called friend from work. I had never encountered someone who carried so many warning signs while pretending to be harmless. Celine had a talent for placing herself between Mara and me whenever she could. She messaged Mara late into the night, sent jokes about women escaping dull marriages, and once half-joked that Mara should only loan herself to me on weekends. Mara laughed it off back then. "She's just theatrical," she said. But I never forgot that comment. Then came the night when everything suddenly made sense. Mara told me that Friday would be exhausting. She said the team was wrapping up quarterly reports and that she likely wouldn't be home until after midnight. I accepted it. I didn't want to become the suspicious husband. I wanted to believe in her the same way I always had. At 8 p.m., she sent me a message. Phone on silent. "Big meeting with the director. Don't worry if I don't reply." That seemed reasonable. I went on with my night-ordered food, put on a documentary, and tried not to keep checking my phone like a teenager waiting for a crush to respond. At 10:47 p.m., the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened the door, the person standing there was the last one I wanted to see. Celine stood on my porch wearing a smug expression that had no place anywhere near a married home. And she wasn't alone. Beside her was Rowan, another co-worker I'd only heard mentioned in passing. His hands were buried in his pockets, his raised brows suggesting he found the situation entertaining. "Hey, Aiden," Celine said, swaying slightly as if alcohol had loosened her balance. "Mara's heading out with us." I stared at her. "Excuse me." "She's already in the car," Celine said lightly, leaning against my doorframe. She explained that Mara needed a break from everything, her hand gesturing vaguely at my house, at me, at a life she clearly didn't respect. For a second, I thought I'd misunderstood. I stepped outside and looked toward the street. A dark sedan sat there with the engine running. Through the window, I could make out a figure in the backseat mirror, her face turned away from our home. Celine smiled like she'd claimed a prize. "We're doing a girls' night at my place," she said. "You can come get her tomorrow if she decides she wants to come back." My body went numb. Behind her, Rowan let out a laugh. "Don't take it personally, man. She just needs some room." My wife, my partner, sat in another person's car while her co-worker stood at my door explaining her absence like she was borrowed property. I didn't shout. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. Instead, I spoke calmly. "Celine, step away from my door." She laughed. "Relax. You're acting like we kidnapped her." I pulled out my phone. "I'm calling her." "No point. Celine said, flipping her hair. She's done explaining herself tonight. Maybe that was the moment something inside me recalibrated. Because instead of dialing Mara, I selected a different number, someone who actually had authority. When the call connected, I spoke evenly. Yes, this is Aiden Hale. I need security sent to my address. 2 individuals appear intoxicated and are attempting to remove my spouse from the residence without consent. Celine's expression collapsed instantly. Are you serious? Rowan stepped forward. Hey man, no need to blow this up. I'm reporting an unlawful attempt to remove a resident, I replied. The security vehicle arrived faster than I expected. And that was when everything truly changed, because at the exact moment the officers approached, Mara stepped out of the car. The look on her face made it clear this night was about to unravel in ways none of us had anticipated. When Mara stepped out of the car, shock was written all over her. She looked as though she never expected things to go beyond a childish tug-of-war, fueled by ego and alcohol. Her gaze jumped from Celine to the security officers approaching the driveway and finally settled on me. Aiden, what's going on? She asked, her voice tight with alarm. I kept my voice steady. You arrived with 2 coworkers who were clearly intoxicated and tried to inform me you wouldn't TB coming home tonight. I called to make sure this situation stays safe. Celine lunged forward immediately. He's twisting this. We weren't dragging her anywhere. She chose to come with us. One of the officers raised a hand. Ma'am, step back. Rowan suddenly found his courage. This is absurd. We were just offering her a ride. Calling security was completely unnecessary. The officer's expression hardened. He reported an attempted removal of a resident, and both of you appear impaired. Celine scoffed, but the confidence she'd worn like armor was cracking. I could see it now. Mara moved closer to me. Aiden, we were only planning to stop by Celine's place for a while. I needed space to think. I met her eyes not with anger, not with bitterness, but with the kind of calm that comes when reality finally sharpens into focus. You told me you were working late, I said quietly. You never mentioned going anywhere else. Her mouth opened, then closed again. She had nothing to offer. The silence between us spoke louder than words ever could. Celine crossed her arms, irritation sharpening her voice. She doesn't owe you a report like she's a child. She said she needed distance. We were supporting her. One officer turned directly to Mara. Ma'am, do you intend to leave your residence tonight with individuals who have been drinking? Mara hesitated. Too long, I'm not sure, Celine snapped. Don't corner her. But the officer didn't look at Celine. I need a clear response. Yes or no. Mara finally spoke, barely audible. No, I'm staying. Celine's face twisted, as if someone had yanked the strings controlling her expression. You're kidding me. After everything you said in the car. Mara's eyes widened as she shot Celine a sharp warning. Look, but the damage was already done. Whatever had been hidden between them was beginning to spill into the open. Rowan muttered under his breath, Celine, stop. You're making this worse. The officers turned to them. You both need to leave the property. Celine made one last attempt. We're her friends. The second officer responded without hesitation. Not tonight. Move along. Rowan grabbed Celine's arm and whispered something harshly as they backed toward the sidewalk, muttering insults until the officers escorted them down the block and out of sight. When the street finally fell quiet, I turned back to Mara. Under the porch light, she looked smaller somehow, like the weight of her choices had finally landed. Aiden, she began. I'm not asking you to justify anything, I said gently, cutting in. Just tell me the truth. She swallowed hard. I felt overwhelmed. Celine said I needed to get away for one night to clear my head. I wasn't thinking clearly. That's exactly the issue, I replied softly. Your first reaction wasn't to talk to me. It was to run with people who don't respect our marriage. Her shoulders sagged. I know I screwed up. Silence settled between us, heavy, unresolved, filled with things we'd both avoided saying. Eventually, she spoke again. I never wanted to hurt you, she whispered. I just felt lost. She hesitated, then added, Celine made it seem like I was trapped. Like you'd automatically try to control me if I asked for space. I've never controlled you, I said calmly. She nodded. She knew that. I could see it in her face. I know. I let someone else's voice drown out my own. Another pause. Then she surprised me. Can we talk? Really talk? I nodded. We went inside, and for the first time in months, there were no masks, no defensiveness, no rehearsed explanations. Mara admitted she'd been unhappy without understanding why. She told me she'd confided in Celine, who had fueled her doubts instead of helping her face them. She admitted she'd been distant, unfair, and confused. Then she said something that stopped me. When security showed up, I realized how far I'd let things spiral, she said. I thought Celine cared about me, but the moment things got serious, she turned on me. You didn't. You stayed calm. You protected the situation, not your ego. I took a slow breath. I wasn't trying to punish you, Mara. I was protecting our home. She looked at me, then not angry, not defensive, but full of regret and vulnerability. I want to fix this, she said quietly. I know it won't be simple. No, I agreed. It won't, but honesty is where it begins. That night didn't end with a perfect resolution or a dramatic reunion. It ended with two people sitting at a kitchen table, finally dismantling months of silence, confusion, and misplaced trust. And sometimes that's enough for one night.